So we're going to start Python, we're going to create our program. The first thing we're going to do really is to store some of these values as constants or variables in our program. First of all, we need to actually start Python. We're going to be using Python 2.7. We're going to create a new file and we're going to save that in a folder that we can find later. So in the documents, I'm going to create a new folder. Let's call it br001. Let's call the file exactly the same, br001.py. So now we're set up. So the first thing I really want to do is sort of capture this information, the app ID and the app key, and put those into my program. I'm going to store those in a dictionary. So they are the original values. I'm going to have them in a dictionary. In that dictionary, I'm going to have the app ID and then the value for it. Let's just leave that blank for the minute, and the app underscore key. Oops. I'm also going to leave that blank for a minute. I'm going to copy and paste into these two areas in a minute. Don't forget, you will need to create your own app ID and your own app key, otherwise this may cease to work after a couple of days. So by the time you see this video anyway, this key and app ID will probably be completely different. So I'm going to copy it and paste the app ID in there, and I'm going to get the much easier than typing it, as I'm probably going to make a mistake. Paste that in there. So now I've got my app key and my app ID stored in a dictionary for me to use. The next thing I'm going to do is set up the domain. If we remember when we looked at the get, so if I just scroll down a little bit, press the get. This is the domain, all the part before the question mark. I did say that some of the domain changes. So for example, we're okay up to UK. That's fine, but after that it changes whether you've got a bus or a train or cycle. So I'm actually going to copy that and use that as a constant in my program. So let's get the whole thing there. And that is the domain of the site. So if I call that domain and paste that in there, I've now got my domain ready to be used. Now we're going to be doing what we call a mashup. In other words, we are not just going to use the one item. Let me show you. Let's close this down. We're going to be using first of all Google with the geocoding API. We're going to type in a postcode or an address or a location. That's going to return some latitude and longitude coordinates, which we need. Those latitude and longitude coordinates are going to be used in one of these calls. So if we were looking for the bus, where have we gone? The bus seems to have disappeared. Here we go. This bounding box is going to be using latitude and longitude coordinates, and that's going to return some ATCO codes, which are bus stops. There may be none, there may be several, and we're going to choose one of those ATCO codes to actually either get a stop or use it here to get the route. So we're going to be using quite a few of these items. So I'm actually going to copy and paste the bits of information that I need from here. So we are going to be needing the bus stop. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to call that stop. Oops. We're also going to be using the root. So if I just take the root information from there, and we are going to be using the stops. We're going to be using the stops, but the bounding box one, not the near. They both produce pretty much the same information. I think near is a bit wider. I don't know how it's worked out. It could be a circular reference, so you're in the area of a circle. This is a rectangle. We're going to use the rectangle one. So I'm going to take the stops information from there and create a variable stops here. So there we go, and then just save that information. So to begin with, I've just used the website and copied and pasted the information that I've needed, the app ID and the app key, the entire domain, which we're going to, well, the majority of our program is just going to be building a URI to make a call and then passing the information we get back to mash up with other calls. So we're going to be using the bus stop, we're going to be using the bus route, and we're going to be using the bus stops from this company as our mashup. So we've just sort of taken those values and copied and pasted them so that we don't have any sort of typing mistakes.